Well, he's the man that makes the NARC 410 Sprint Series tick. It's Jim Allen, and he's going to be on board in this debut episode of Inside NARC, where we take a look at the upcoming 2023 season, some changes and adjustments that have been made as far as the rules and format is concerned. That is coming up next on Inside NARC. Well, on the phone with me right now is the general manager of the NARC 410 Sprint Car Series, Jim Allen. Jim, catching you in the middle of an RV excursion. It's great to talk to you.
Glad to talk to you too, Ben. We're just, I'm on an RV trip, but the strange thing about it is I've had my laptop open for half a day, and guess what? I'm working on racing stuff of, what a surprise, right?
Oh, shocker. But you got to see some golfing, though, this past weekend, yeah?
I went to the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, so that was a lot of fun, and got the bug, so I'm going to try to get out tomorrow and get 18 holes in. So, if it's not racing, it's golfing typically for me.
Nice, absolutely. I was wondering if you were doing racing things at the Pebble Beach deal.
No, but it was surprisingly since I sold my company, the only business cards I have in my wallet are my NARC Sprint Car deal. And of course, every time I talk to some golfers and, hey, let's connect and do this, I hand them my racing business card. Next thing you know, it's like, oh, yeah, we went to this. I talked to a guy here in downtown Jackson, California. He was from Colorado. And he goes, okay. Oh, yeah, I used to watch you guys in Santa Maria. So nice. It's a small world.
It is a small world. No doubt. Yeah. I think there was some racers from Jackson, believe it or not, that ran at Posse.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, it's up here in the Gold Country foothills. There's always somebody who's got those little 10-acre parcels, and they got a little metal building out there, and somebody's working on a race car.
Yeah, I was thinking, and I could be wrong, so nobody try and lynch me or anything, but I was thinking Matt Petty was the guy from Jackson, but I could be wrong. So.
No, I think you're right, actually. Good call.
Okay, all right. Whew. Anyways, 2022 for you guys. You had a good schedule, and the racing that you guys had was wonderful. I think I saw more NARC races in my life than I did last year. Got to call a couple of them in Oregon, but overall, how did you feel things panned out with everything, considering there were some curveballs thrown your way, especially with tires?
Absolutely, yeah. Tires and a little bit of weather. I don't know, when you roll it all up, we end up with 20 races out of the 25 that were booked. As everybody knows, Dominic Scelzi ended up winning his second title. Curveballs, yeah, we had Hoosier Racing tires. Who would have guessed? Everybody's excited. We got out of COVID.
Sure.
Thought, all right, what else? Everything's going to be perfect from this point on. And then, wow, tires, racing tires. What are the odds that we're not going to have those? Mm-hmm. And, that forced the cancellation of a couple of events. I mean, we might have limped our way through it. But, we try to be fair and make sure that everybody has the same amount of rubber to work with, from the Dominic Scelzi all the way down to the Jeffrey Strolls of the world. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, whatever. It's got to be fair for everybody. But, yeah, we had a couple, curveball was the tires. And unfortunately, I'm sure we'll talk about this here shortly. But, 2023, I'm not really sure that it's going to get that much better either. And then we made 2 trips up to your neck of the woods in the Pacific Northwest. And unfortunately, that was, a lot of the people down here were looking at the weather, weather.com. And, they saw a 50% chance of rain, and they decided to stay home. So we had some car count issues on our Memorial Day show. And one thing I did learn for sure was that in California, if there's a 50% chance of rain, most promoters are going to cancel it. But in the Pacific Northwest, they see 50% chance of rain, and they go, well, you know what? There's a 50% chance it's not going to rain. And it's amazing how much water those racetracks can take up there, and they can be fully functional within a couple, 3 hours, that they know exactly what to do. We ended up with 3 out of the 4 shows over the Memorial Day weekend that, turned out to be pretty good. And even with the light car count, and we went back up a month later for the Dirt Cup, and everybody and their mother went, and that was a fantastic show. And overall, our car counts were up another 2 points or 2 cars over previous season. I think we averaged 28 cars. We are making progress on trying to grow the 410 ranks, and I think we saw that because we saw a lot of new faces come out in and show up in the pits in 2022. So when you roll it all up in a big ball, we are pretty darn pleased with it. The racers at our championship awards banquet stayed the same, racers and car owners and sponsors for that matter, and it was a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked with several guys now, from Peter Murphy, Colby Copeland with the SLC group and everything, and 410s are booming, and also a lot of guys up at Skagit, Trey Starks and those individuals, and for so long, I think there was just this stigma of like, it's done, it's over with, it's on the downward slope and everything. But, there's just been this positive energy in the last year, maybe over a year. And it's just been amazing and fantastic, and it's rebounding in big ways.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Chico was the last holdout that had 410 shows on a weekly basis. And, Peter Murphy and I are real good friends, and we decided that, hey, we can't let 410 sprint car racing die in California. And, when he got involved with Keller, they said, well, I'm going to add some 410 races. And then obviously when Larson, Sweet, and Copeland got together in Chico, they said, hey, we're going to add some 410 races. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, we need it, for, the Outlaws when they come out. And, realistically, if you're going to make it long-term, make a career out of racing, you're, nothing, I don't want to start a war or anything, but, nothing against the 360s, but you're probably not going to do it in a 360. It's going to have to be in a 410. And collectively, building up events like the Dirt Cup and the Gold Cup in Chico and all the big shows that we have down in Hanford and all the other big shows we have on our schedule, we've given car owners and racers who have a 410, we've given them, 50 to 60 opportunities to go out and race a 410, more than likely for substantially more money than they would do if they were racing, 40 or 50 races in a 360 somewhere. So we filled up the calendar, and we're starting to see, I think we came up with a body count here recently that we had 11 new 410s that were purchased amongst guys who campaign 360s and the like. And, that will, I'm not sure how many of those guys are going to chase points, which is one of the hardest things to do. But I think they're going to, we're going to see more faces out at a NARC sprint car event.
Well, and what was really cool about last year is, you like, at the end of the day, we're all race fans, right? Whether we're announcers, general managers, flaggers, or even drivers ourselves. Like I remember the fast 4 days last year, the swing up through the Northwest, like, what are we thinking about for car count? And I remember talking with, I think, Brian Crockett quite a bit. And it's just like, well, he's got a 410 now. This guy's got a 410. Oregon guys, I'm like, holy smokes. I don't remember a time where guys had so many 410s in Oregon, which that put something on the doorstep, maybe not a weekly deal, but, sprinkle some 410 specials here or there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a 410 sprint car racing for it to survive, I think it's to the point where you really can't have, hypothetically championship points race number 9. Sure. It can't just be for a standard purse. I mean, they all need to be, all need to be big shows, for bigger money, have a lot of hype involved in them. And, that is what's going to really grow 410 sprint car racing. What Kevin and Peter and John did up there at Skagit, just making the Super Dirt Cup back to a 410. Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird to some of these young guys out here. They don't know that, all these things used to be 410 racing events. Sure. Even the Trophy Cup used to be a 410 show back in the day. And, they're kind of getting back to their roots. But I also understand from a promoter standpoint that, it's kind of hard to generate a decent back gate and pay the bills if you've only got, 20 cars in the back gate. You need more, you need more cars there so that you can get rid of some of the support classes and, just make the sport grow.
Well, and what has been really spectacular and really cool, I think, is that, the more 410 races, as you mentioned, when the Outlaws come out here, the Outlaws need 410 cars. That's a given. But it will give those drivers that have more frequent seat time in a 410 to showcase exactly how strong our part of the country is, whether it be in the Pacific Northwest or California. And it gives them a better shot to run, farther up or even win. I mean, it's happened before, and it increases the chances of it happening more frequently.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Outlaws typically bring, 12 cars wherever they go. Typical car counts are in the 30 range, and that is, made up with, locals and, around the country, all-star circuit champions and IRA and, NARC cars. And yeah, we've got some people that can play with the heavy hitters. And I think that gap is going to close here too. And I think we saw it a little bit around the country this year, where everybody is running the same tires, whereas, here in California, we were running HTWs and then they come out in H, everybody had to switch, and it took a little getting used to running those tires. Well, now pretty much everybody in the nation is going to be on this national, what they call asymmetrical tire. I think that's going to become an equalizer, not to take anything away from Brad Sweet or any of the guys that were driving the Outlaw, the circuit. But, the equipment is about as equal as it can possibly get.
Sure. And that's obviously a new thing for the NARC series in 2023. Is there anything new that you guys are implementing or trying to make happen this season?
Yeah, we've, a lot of the same stuff, but we've reshuffled the deck. We made 2 trips up the Pacific Northwest. And of course, another thing that we weren't planning on, so we had COVID and then we had tires and then, California, $6 plus a gallon diesel.
Sure.
Yeah. So we had to, fund some of these teams just to get them to the Oregon border so they could buy fuel. And then when they come back home, their last stop in Oregon before they pull back into California. So instead of making 2 trips, our memberships requested to basically make it 1 trip up to the Pacific Northwest. So now we are doing the fastest 4 days of motorsports and the Super Dirt Cup pretty much on 1 trip up there. The first one, there's Southern Oregon Speedway on June 15th. And then the tail end of that and bookend is, the $50,000 to win the Super Dirt Cup. So we've got 7 races in 10 days. And then Skagit's throwing in an open show in there. So it's going to make it worth their while to head north, save some money in diesel, make some money in fuel. So it's, I don't know, we're trying to talk everybody in California to heading north to watch this spectacle.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. Definitely the 4-day swing, and then if everything goes right, head over to Skagit for that whole deal. It's going to be really cool, really awesome, I think.
Yeah. And then we got a couple other new ones. The Dennis Ross Classic, which we had our inaugural event last season. It was in October. That has now become a 2-day show at Tulare in April. And, that pays $8,300 to win. There's a strong possibility that might jump up substantially higher, but we're waiting for an official press release. So that gives everybody 2 fun days in Tulare. Peter Murphy Classic is always a gem in May at Hanford. And then, one other thing that did change too is Placerville. The Dave Bradley Jr. race, we got 32nd annual on June 3rd. In the past, we ran Sprint Car Challenge Tour and us on the same night. And I don't know how Scott Russell kept his sanity, because that's a lot of cars and a lot of racing on that track.
Sure.
And somehow he managed to keep it together. What he's going to do now is on Friday night, he's going to run Sprint Car Challenge Tours, and then we're going to be there on Saturday and I think we're just running. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on this one. I think we're running with BCRA midgets, and we will be able to, enjoy some of the hoopla and pageantry that is kind of tied around the Bradway race.
Sure.
So that'll I think it'll do the legendary Dave Bradway a little bit more justice in the big picture of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it gives an opportunity, I think, for teams that they race both 360, 410, not to have that hard decision. It's like, I'm running points for this deal, and I don't have enough time to, I don't have 2 cars to run, so they can switch motors overnight.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, these guys, it's amazing how much work they do just to do exactly that.
Sure.
So yeah, there's, we are doing, we have the Asparagus Cup, which is on April Fool's Day at Stockton. We're racing with Sprint Car Challenge Tour. The last night of the Peter Murphy Classic, we're racing with the Sprint Car Challenge Tour, and then the season finale at Stockton as well. So it's not like there will not be any combo shows
Sure.
for fans to attend. I mean, some people love them, some people not a fan. As always, we've got 24 racing events at 15 different tracks, so you can say we have something for everybody.
Sure. And a little bit of pretty much everywhere is getting at least one race or some exposure.
Yeah, exactly. We are like I said, we have 15 tracks. I mean, I can go way back to my first run with the Northern Racing Club back in it's from 85 to 99. And I only remember hitting 14 tracks total. We got 15. Oh yeah, that was the other thing too. We added Antioch Speedway for April 29th. They've done a commendable amount of work over there, improving that facility. Chad Chadwick and his group, and so that's a new stop on our schedule, and we're looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a really fun one. That was kind of my California home for the COVID year of 2020, because my wife Stephanie, her dad still lives in Santa Rosa, so we'd drive down Friday, and then I'd go over and announce, and then we'd drive home Sunday. We did that for like 5 or 6 straight weeks. It was long, it was grueling, but it was fun, and it's a great area.
Yeah, I mean, Antioch Speedway, if we roll back the clocks was a premier destination for NARC Speed Week events, and we used to pack the place there. I mean, just absolutely front row to the top row, shoulder to shoulder in there. They like their sprint cars. They might have changed a little bit in the years back over to stock cars, but hey, we'll get the interest going again, and maybe next year we go there twice.
Sure, no doubt. And as far as the format each week, is that pretty much the same?
Oh, glad you brought that one up. So yes, we've a couple rule changes we did. We have got away from our somewhat complicated point system that we had that we've run for the last 3 years, and we've went to a format that is very similar to the All-Star Circuit of Champions, where the heat race winner and the fastest qualifier through each heat race transfers to the dash. Okay. And then hypothetically, if the fastest qualifier in the heat wins the dash, basically it's a knockout. He actually knocks out one person. It's not like the second place finisher in the heat race gets the dash spot. He actually knocks him out, so he's knocking out some of his competition. I'm not sure how many times that's going to happen this year, but yeah. So we've changed that. Another thing, we got fire suppression systems required as of May 1st. That's probably a rule that should have been implemented many years ago. I mean, it's one of the most frightening things on the planet to watch a sprint car on fire, and every second seems like an hour when you see that, drivers struggling to get out or safety crews trying to put it out. So I don't know. I feel really, I'm pleased with, basically the left coast implementing that rule as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, and so that the first race that'll be in full effect will be for the David Tartar Memorial at Silver Dollar on May 6th. It looks like
May 6th, exactly. Yep. Yeah. If you don't have it on that race, unfortunately, we got to send you away. Sure. The good news is that we've got sponsors within our series who've given us a substantial amount of money, which we pass along to our teams. There's Lifelines, Safecraft, and there's one other manufacturer. And, yes, does it add to the cost of racing? Yes, but one night in a burn ward is going to cost you $50,000.
Sure.
So it's a pretty good investment to make.
Sure. And you mentioned something that I really should touch on that's admirable. You mentioned we have sponsors that give us money, to give to teams. And that's a beautiful thing, and something, and this isn't to slam anybody. We understand that, people run series, they run racetracks as their livelihood. But the NARC series, Northern Auto Racing Club, functions just like that. And correct me if I'm wrong when I state that, but it's for the racers and for the teams.
Exactly. There was a plan here. So when I got back here in 2017, well, let me even go farther back. We were, the Northern Auto Racing Club Sprint cars when I left in 1999. Mm-hmm. And we also had, at that point, we had the Golden State Championship Series. And then I left a year later. NARC had its difficulties and kind of pulled up stores. So it just became, it was the King of the West or, King of California. It kind of evolved to multiple names. And it was run by the promoters. When I came back in 2017, I met with Maury Williams, who was one of the stalwart NARC car owners of his day. And he came up to me one day and asked me, Jim, what's your plan? And I said, my plan was to get it out of the promoter's hands and make it a club again, which is run by its members with its own board. So in 2017, we were the King of the West series by NARC, and as you noticed, in 2022, it's pretty much NARC exclusively. We want NARC to be at the forefront. Brent Kading and I are technically the owners of the series, but we are trying to basically, as we have an advisory board, and we run it like a nonprofit, just like we run the NARC Benevolent Fund, like a nonprofit. We're not in it to make money. What we are is, I can pretty much look any sponsor in the eye and say, you give me $1,000 as a sponsorship, all of it is going to the racers. And I think it took a little while for all of the teams to realize that, and that we were not the enemy, and that we were actually the advocate and the promoter of the sport. And now they have, jumped on, and we're starting to see a little, little club pride, similar to, like maybe being a fan of a football team or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when I say that, I don't mean, like I said, there's racetracks that, people own the property, they got to make a living, and, they have to make money. And I get that. And I'm not saying discouraging, like, hey, your profit was a little too high. I think you should kick it back, but I think what you guys do is unique. And I just want to point out, because you don't see it that often these days.
No, you don't. And like I said, I'm with you here too. Yeah, I don't want to be misinterpreted on this too. And that is, there's several promoters. Most promoters have another a job because racing is so hard to make ends meet. I mean, with all the risk and all the work and all the cash outlay, gosh darn, race promoters are entitled to make money, and they should. Mm-hmm. And in reality, when they don't, that's when you're going to start seeing, the effort begins to drop, track quality begins to falter, food choices get a little weak, and, the racetrack slowly, dies step by step. Mm-hmm. One thing I will say in California is that, over the last 3 or 4 years, these guys, I think since COVID, all these guys have really stepped up their game, and, realizing that the fan experience needs to be, it needs to be more than the race. I mean, the fan experience needs to be fun, so like similar to or enjoyable. Like you go to Placerville Speedway, and they did one little thing of putting this big giant canopy over their concession area. So hey, you can drink a beer, but you know what? Drinking a beer on a hot day in the shade is that much better. Sure. It's little things like that will keep people coming to the racetrack. Compared to, not doing anything. So, clean bathrooms and all those other things, it's all part of it. And once again, they got to make money, because if they don't, They're not going to be around very long, or they'll cut corners, and that doesn't do any good for anybody.
Yeah, no, it's the, small victories lead to big strategic victories. Like you have propane little heater cans that are put in and I heavily quote a safe location, but like it gets cold in the spring and in the fall, but have that in an area where people can, enjoy their alcoholic beverage in a somewhat warm area. So, or, little fire pits or something. So again, safe.
I totally agree.
Safe with a capital
and they're getting
S.
away. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I said, not to mention, the food choices are starting to get better too.
Mm-hmm.
And compared to the traditional hot dog and hamburger, you're starting to see, you are starting to see some other food groups in there. People are bringing in food trucks, and it's like, yeah, that's exactly what we need. Make it so that a family can have an enjoyable time at the racetrack, and whatever. At that point, that equals more fans, equals more purses, equals more cars, and equals just an enhancement on the sport we all like.
Yeah, no doubt. Make it such a lasting impression that it makes them want to be a lifelong fan. And there's some cool things that you guys do. So for folks that are listening in the Midwest or the East Coast, what the NARC series does that's really, really fun is they have the Thunder Sticks, these little inflatable, inflatable bangers that you can do, and they light up, and you guys do all sorts of cool things for the Frisbees and good fan interaction, especially with the younger audience.
Yeah, exactly. And lots of giveaways that we give to the promoters as well. I mean, excuse me, not the promoters, the announcers, toy cars, and, $50 for a couple people who catch Frisbees, and, just trying to enhance the overall experience. And, I also encourage all of my officials that, if you're walking, to your position, let's say you're a flagman or whatever, you're on the grandstand side and somebody wants to talk to you, stop and talk to them, unless you're on some drop dead deadline to get to a certain place.
Sure.
Talk to everybody, say hello to everybody, wave, smile, you gotta make it special.
Yeah, no doubt. And you probably know this, like I'm a huge Disney aficionado, and when it comes to going to Disneyland, I get so much gripe from some people. It's so expensive, it's overrated, all that stuff. But I know what I'm getting there. I know that I'm getting a good quality time. The food's good, the entertainment is good. I know what I'm paying for, and it's worth a bang for my buck. And just that customer service, that Walt Disney implemented in 1955 is top class level, and I think could be looked at not just at people in amusement parks, but anything dealing with public and entertainment.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think the thing that we all need to watch and look at real closely, and I think, and with this topic came up several years back, but Supercross. Have you ever been to a Supercross event? Man, they have that thing down to a science, and fan engagement is off the charts. Monster trucks. I mean, as simple as having 5 beat up trucks bouncing around out there. I mean, they pack the place, and everybody, just happy as heck and entertained. And like I said, customer service is good. So yeah, it's a business. It's an entertainment business, and we know that we can put on a good show on the racetrack. The promoters are doing the rest, and we're doing everything we can do to assist with that process.
Yeah, and the product's great too. I mean, for people that missed out at the Anthony Simone last year at Hanford, or the Dennis Roth Classic at Tulare last October, those races back to back were just insane. And it's like, I just remember like sitting back and like, this is why I love this sport. I mean, just going for it, elbows up, you never know what's going to happen, and not leaving anything on the table. Guys just driving the snot out of these things.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. That was one of the best weekends. I've watched that footage over and over. That was absolutely awesome. If I had to come up with, my top 10 races of all time, those 2 races are in my top 5. They were off the chart. And that's one of the good things too about being in this club environment, especially in California, where we're sort of isolated, and that is all these teams get to race. They race against each other, almost every weekend in some way or another. And after you do that long enough, you know who to race next to and who you shouldn't race next to, if
Sure.
that makes sense, or
Yeah.
who to get around, or who, you know, who's going to hold their line and who's not. And I think after you do that long enough, you start seeing, you know, whatever. They read each other, and I think that makes, you know, passings that are, you know, hey, this guy's always going to go to the bottom, and hey, I'm going around the top, you know, and it's just sort of like I don't know, like a money ball statistics kind of a thing. You know,
Yeah.
I think these guys will calculate in their brain, and it makes the racing that much better.
Well, and it kind of makes people comfortable and feel, maybe, I don't know if this is the most accurate term, but safer. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
this guy, he's a good driver or whatever, because sure, you know, you could fly any shoe in from wherever and be like a human pinball hitting everything but the flag stand.
Right.
But it's like, hey, like, we're racing tomorrow. Like, now all of us have to rebuild our stuff, including you. And I've really found that out, like, in the Midwest through IMCA racing. You know, it's always like, well, why is this area they drive so dirty? Well, because those guys, they're racing against each other for the next 3 nights, and they gotta make it work. They gotta have a decent relationship. You know, they don't have to like each other, but they need to respect each other, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yep. And that even becomes, you know, and that's ever evolving. I mean, I was just, before I got on the phone with you, I was just making a list. I was going to work on a social media post, and that was, you know, coming up with drivers who are still looking for their first NARC win. And basically what I think I've come up with, we got a next generation of young guns that everybody's going to have to figure out. But, I mean, think about this. I'm going to read off, let's see what I got here, 8 or 9 names here. Dustin Bloomfield, Max Mitri, Blake Carrot, Tanner Carrot, Kayla Montgomery, Tanner Holmes, Logan Fuller, Joel Myers Jr., Nick Parker. So we got there 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's one hell of a heat race.
It is.
And every one of those guys is still looking for their first NARC win. And
Sure.
I don't think it's going to take them long. I'm thinking you're going to see a little bit of a changing of the guard out here with some of these drivers. I mean, they represent the future of sprint car racing. And I don't know. My money is on, no, I can't root for anybody officially.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my money's on all 9 of them.
Well, and all those drivers, they have some sort of accolade to their name, which is impressive, you know. Like Logan Forler, former ASCS National Tour regular, and you know he ran pretty much all season with you guys traveling from Boise, Idaho, which isn't down the street. And you know Tanner,
No, it's not.
you know, and then Tanner Holmes and you know Dustin Bloomfield, those are hitters. The Carrick brothers have had some immaculate 360 success. Tanner in a midget as well has been very good. And, you know, Nick Parker from Tucson, Arizona ran a lot, you know, in California. I mean, it shows the attraction. And, you know, Tanner Holmes making so many trips from Oregon. It shows you that you guys got something going really good.
Exactly, yeah. And I think you interviewed Cole Macedo not too long ago. So we're going to see him at the beginning of the season before he takes off. Cole hasn't won a race either. So, hey, there's 10 guys who have a strong possibility of winning a NARC feature event during the 2023 season.
Well, and what I really think is cool too, and this goes for both 360 and 410s, is how many guys have we seen? Like, how many guys are from West Coast base that are with the Outlaws? You know, Giovanni Scelzi, Brad Sweet, Robbie Price, to name a few. And then Cole Macedo last year on the road, and Carson Macedo too.
Carson Macedo, yeah.
Cole Macedo last year doing what he did in Ohio. You know, Logan Seavey didn't really run too much 410 stuff, but then, you know, Buddy Kofoid. But despite all these guys going off and leaving kind of our neck of the woods, there's still teams coming up and coming in, which means that the well isn't dried up, and it's still churning more and more drivers, and it's making it that much better.
Yeah, totally agree. They're working on the next generation. Let's put it this way: Kyle Larson did not. His career did not go unnoticed as far as how, you know, he started racing karts and worked his way through the ranks. And, you know, he kind of followed the Tiger Woods deal, you know.
Sure.
You get dad stuck a golf club in his hand at an early age and keep swinging that thing, and you're swinging up, you're going to become really good. And I think a lot of these drivers They've come in and, shoot, by the time we see them at 16 years old, they've already been racing for 10 years. And it's like that experience is, not to mention what they've done on the simulators as well.
Sure.
By the time they get to us, it's like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And this guy can't even drive himself to high school yet.
Yeah.
And here he is tooling around a car at 110 miles an hour. I mean, that is simply amazing.
No doubt. And you mentioned like the iRacing and a lot of and that was a big deal during COVID, and it still is sort of a big deal with some guys. And when you think about it, some of these cats, they're racing 4 or 5 times. I don't know what the actual number is, but 4 or 5 times a day, let's just say every day during the winter time. And so by the time they hop in a car, it's like, yeah, I'm good to go.
Yeah. Compared to, I'll do a flashback. Unfortunately, it does show my age. It was like, I remember when Kevin Pilot first started racing with the NARC sprint cars back in the 1990s. And, he had kind of graduated from stock cars. And, it took Kevin a few years before, a top 10 finish was even a possibility. And, you used to have to go, you'd race 410 sprint cars for 5 years or so before you'd even, had a chance to even, win a race. And, now, like I said, they come in early and young, and just like I said, it's just amazing what these guys do. And like I said, the good news about it is represents the future of the sport. Yeah, we're going to lose some of them to the Midwest and the Outlaws. God bless them for doing that. I mean, if that's the career path they want to take, and if not, they decide to stick around, they're going to continue to entertain us for many years.
Yeah, and it would be a big problem if there wasn't anybody stepping in. Like once those guys are gone, like we had 10 guys at this racetrack, 2 of them went to the Midwest, well, we're left with 8. Well, the situation now, I would say, and you can tell me if you disagree, is instead of having 10 guys, we got 12. So we lost 2, but we gained 4,
Right.
And that's just really good. And, you got the guys in the Central Valley coming from the micro ranks. You got guys in NorCal coming from the cage carts. And yeah, it's amazing. It's good. It's a great time to be a sprint car fan.
Exactly. I mean, could you imagine what 410 sprint car racing would be in California if you brought Giovanni back and Brad and Buddy Kofoid and all these guys back, the Macedos and both, and we were racing. I mean, we would make Pennsylvania look like it's not even a sprint car haven. California would be the place. So,
sure.
I mean, the good news is, we can all be proud of what something good has come out of California. So, and unfortunately it's, it has nothing to do with taxes or anything like that, because none of that's good, but at least the drivers are.
Yeah, the weather's nice and the racing's good. So
there you go.
Generally, but you guys had a pretty big deluge of water around New Year's, so I shouldn't say it's completely perfect weather all the time.
True. Yeah. Well, maybe the alleged drought is over or whatever.
Sure.
Maybe some of these racetracks sucked up a fair amount of moisture, so that because that's going to be the next thing that promoters in California, are going to be faced. You watch, they're going to start charging for excess amount of water, similar to what golf courses get charged.
Sure.
It's just a matter of time, and which means, hey, we need more fans in the grandstands.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Posse. I think you and I had this conversation at Warpa. I'm still throwing my name out there. The California Caballeros, the California Cavaliers. So
there you go. I need to start some kind of campaign of some sort. We need a name. I know somebody came up sarcastically with the California Cartel. I was like, nah, we don't need that. That's not. I like the Posse. There's something there. I don't know. We're gonna have to work on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm full of $1 billion ideas, Jim, but I just don't have $1 billion. So
I got you.
I got
a
disclaimer. But I got a nice personality. So.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to working with you on our races up in your neck of the woods. Like I said, I'm fired up, ready for the season. I think we only got like 38 days before the Mini Gold Cup opener at Silver Dollar, and then it's just balls out until November 4th.
Yeah, and was there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to put out there at all?
So yeah, we talked about rules. God, Tim Kading does not have a ride in California. That's got to be news. I don't think that's going to be very. I don't think that's going to last very long. And no, I think we've got. I think we got some stout people running for a championship. We've got a whole lot of people who are starting to make their name in sprint car racing. And the talent level up in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, I personally think that Trace Starks is one of the unheralded drivers in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, just drives straight and clean. And I mean, like I said, just talent level. And we're going to see some of these guys on our tour. And I'm really looking forward to it.
And I know that you guys got a huge presence on social media. What are the best way for folks to find the schedule, the news, any updates?
Okay. My pride and joy is the NARC410.com website. Everything you need to know is on there. And if for some reason you're looking for something, man, you could just send me an email because I'm going to add it. So it's fan-friendly, ADA-friendly. We have 2 Facebook pages. We have the NARC King of the West. We also have a NARC Sprint Car History, which celebrates and sheds light on the 62 years of sprint car racing that is in NARC's history book. You can find Alex Neaton on Twitter, and his Twitter feed is absolutely awesome. He's done great things with that. Instagram, we're getting more active on TikTok. And did I forget any? God, there's so many of them. We're just blitzing the world. And if somebody goes to our NARC 410 website and goes to the contact, leaves their contact, we'll put them on our email list. And typically, if I post something on the website that's going to publish tomorrow, you'll see it in your mailbox the day before. So you get a little bit of exclusive. And
all right.
So just send me your email address. You can do that on Facebook or any of the other ones that we answer them all. And like I said, anything we can do to enhance the fan experience, I'm all in.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for 2023 to get kicked off here in a little bit. And I don't think I'm going to be there on the 18th, but I think I'll be there the night before because I'll be in Red Bluff on the 18th. But looking forward to making as many as possible.
Good. We're looking forward to seeing you, and I'm also looking forward to work with you. So thanks for having me on your show. It's a great show, and I appreciate your efforts as well.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Hey, thank you.